you of course officially come in during his administration days,
Presidency.
ano?
Yeah.
But it's not, as you told me earlier, it's not quite the first time you met him.
No.
No? When did you meet? How did you meet?
I first met him in 1967,
67.
the year before the Tet Offensive in
right.
Tay Ninh,
Okay.
Vietnam.
Uh-huh.
He was then only a major
Mm.
under General Tobias.
Mhm.
And I was there on a mission for GSIS.
Oh.
So, and the next time we met was in 1986 already,
EDSA.
EDSA.
Oh, Vietnam. So, PhilCAG,
Yes, PhilCAG, yes.
the Philippine Civic Action
Yes, that's
Group.
right.
No? Oh.
So,
Did you get to talk? Did you?
oh, I spent about 1 week, 1 week or 2 weeks there, and oh, we had a beautiful time.
Oh.
Yeah, and every morning he would assign General Echeverria to say, "Oh, take this this fellow out there in the shooting range."
Oh, okay. Okay. What
But
was he
in
like then? Your first impressions of him then? Of Major
my first
Ramos.
impression of Major Ramos was he was very cool and very amiable up to the time he was president. I always find him is cool, very cool, and it's really charming actually. I never changed. I think.
So 67 to about 86, eventually went up the ladder.
Yeah.
Became head of the constabulary.
Yeah, but
Did you meet any time before that? No.
Only casually, but I went different way. I went to join Speaker De Venecia in Congress,
Oh, okay.
and before that, under Ramon Mitra. So I was not in that in his field of activity.
Oh, okay. 86. Looking back at it and comparing the man who withdrew his support from the then president as against the head of the Civic Action Group in Vietnam. Were you surprised that someone like that would do something like that?
Well, as I said, he very cool and amiable. I could see he was very steady. That's why it's called Steady Eddie.
Steady Eddie.
Because he's really a very
Okay.
steady person. Yeah, you cannot rattle him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was my first impression.
Okay.
Amiable.
Amiable. I
I
guess.
don't know, being a West Pointer, they trained him to
West
be
Point.
leaders.
Yeah. But eventually, 86. So yeah, you were still in private practice then, ano?
When?
Or in 86. I'm sorry.
86. Well, yes, I was he was in practice, and no, I was with GSIS.
GSIS.
Yes,
Oh,
GSIS, and then I retired after 20 years to run for Congress and lost miserably.
Right.
Yeah.
But eventually,
And then I joined
you joined.
Speaker Mitra,
Yeah.
and then I founded the Congressional Economic Office. I established that up to now, but still there.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's still there under a different.
Yes.
It's a different name now, but
Yeah.
right. It's
I
when it
started
was
that
restored,
and I founded it.
But well, I guess both of you were affiliated with the same party at that time.
Yes,
LDP,
yes,
no?
yeah. But I was really more closer and working more with Speaker De Venecia. And then for a short time, I was the chief of staff of Senator Sehani.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But never the General Ramos.
But eventually, I mean, your paths would cross, no?
After the election.
After the
election
elections.
already.
Oh.
Yeah, when, well, because I was not a campaigner, but this way, I was just following the party, Speaker de Venecia, and so on. They were the ones campaigning. Actually.
Yeah, before when FVR was candidate, FVR, no, along with Speaker de Venecia, it was really not that large a party then.
Yes.
But
yes,
eventually, when you came in, that's when that's when the numbers started swelling, right?
Yes, yeah. Because even at when they were still at Camp Crami, was it Camp Crami or Camp Del Caldo? I already saw him in 1986. You see, during the EDSA. And then I went to the province to, as I said, to enter politics. So when I came back, I went back to Congress. I mean, as
Speaker Mitra, and then
de Venecia.
and then shortly with
And then
Senator
after the election, when he became president, then they made me the party spokesman.
How did that happen?
I guess.
Were you familiar with the ideology, or
Yes.
so it was supposed to be what, Christian Muslim Democrat?
Yes.
NUCD,
Well,
National
I've been. I'm a journal, and I'm not really a journalist. I'm a writer and an economist. So, I have things on my fingertips. So I'm familiar with geopolitics and economics and so on. So I guess I'm familiar with that. And,
Who did the draft? Speaker de Venecia or FBR himself?
I beg pardon?
Who gave you the draft, telling you that your spokesperson starting?
The Venetia.
Oh, okay.
The Venetia.
Okay,
And then the president welcomed me because I knew him already. Yeah, I already knew him. But as you said, I was not an active campaigner soliciting votes, but I was really a political writer. So in that sense, he already knew, the Venetia knew me already in that as a writer, more than a political worker.
And a gift for communication and messaging
yes,
as well,
yes.
which is why I suppose
And
you were given
being a writer and an economist, they found it more useful than a non-economist because most of the issues were economics
at that time,
and politics.
very particular. That's right. So tell me, what were those years like as
Well, let me state right from the start. I feel that President Ramos is what I call a complete president. Means he was all around qualified for the presidency. When you're a West Pointer, and secondly, you spend all your life in the field, which makes you very conversant with poverty, with rural folks, rural life, and so on. So he's a civil engineer. He knows business. So he's the most all-around president. See, unlike the other president, they are either lawyers, poets, chess players, or engineers, and so on. But nobody with all-around. Because what is important with the president is that you know what is going on at the bottom.
all right?
When he was a junior officer, that's where he learned. He learned how to deal with the common people, with poverty, and how the folks at the bottom live. See? Which gives you a good preparation for the presidency.
So noon pa lang, he was actually getting the training already.
Yes,
and I guess the perspective.
I think being in the field for a long time, when he was a junior officer up to the time became a colonel, I suppose. He really knew how to deal with common people. He has seen poverty and so on.
That's where he picked up the people skills.
Yes, at the same time, he belongs to, he has a very illustrious family.
Yeah.
So he has training at that level. He's a West Pointer, he's UP, he's civil engineer. His father was foreign secretary, founder of ASEAN. His mother was a teacher. So he had that sophistication. He had that urbanity.
Yeah.
It's all preparation for presidency.
The
Of course, you
breadth
don't know
of it.
that. You don't know that you'll become president. But
Until you get
until
elected.
that happens.
Yeah.
But
Right.
looking back, you can see that he had all the credentials to become president, all around. And then, if you ask me my experience, I think it was working for him was a gratifying experience, really gratifying experience, you know. And as I said, he knew a lot. Let's put it this way. He was. You don't have to teach him.
Yeah.
He will teach you, but he will not teach. You don't have to teach him. See, that's very important.
I'll get to that point later. But in the meantime, what was it exactly that you did during those first few months or few years as a spokesperson? Your ranks were swelling. I mean, people were gravitating towards the Lakas as the administration
Or as
party.
a press secretary or as a spokesman?
As spokesperson, sir.
As a spokesperson,
Yeah.
well, we were very active. They were active all around. So, what I've done is that from the beginning, when they appointed me party spokesperson, I requested him. I said, Mr. President, I have to be with you in order for me to find out what's going on. Because every time he travels, there's always a section or element of political caucus, a meeting with local officials, local people. And then he would give a press briefing. So that is what I prepared for him. So, and I told him, well, I have to know what's going on
Right.
if I'm going to be an efficient spokesperson. And that's what I did.
Right.
That I was traveling with him from the beginning as a spokesperson.
You wanted to get the pulse as well.
Yes, yes. So, because he always had that, which is not done by, say, Aquino or something like that.
I remember, there was part of the itinerary was
Always
some
there was a
party building or
yes,
consensus.
Party building consensus. So,
activity.
because of that, I said, no, I have to be there. I have to be there, Mr. President, because how will I know what's going on? And so I also got to know the mayors, councillors, and some of the ordinary folks.
But you did that for about what, 2 or 3 years?
3 years.
3 years, no? And then eventually, you got drafted into
Yes,
the cabinet.
well, because U.S. season was not feeling well.
Health, no?
So I would not have been, I think, press secretary if Jason was in good health. But his health really, and since I was already in there, I was already embedded into the network. I guess there was nobody else.
It's a very short list actually for people to consider. And you were actually doing.
And I feel that I feel gratified that there was no politics involved. You know, I was not pushed by a senator or a congressman. He's elected. He did all. He decided on his own. There's no politics there.
When did you? Was there even a part where you said you were more initially closely associated with Speaker De Venecia,
Yes.
but eventually you became party spokesperson, and then
Yes.
eventually you became the president's press secretary.
Yes.
Was there a transition from
Yeah.
from De Venecia to FVR? When did that happen for you?
No, it just happened naturally because the two of them were also very, very close.
Yes. Yes.
So, so I was already, even though I was identified with the speaker, he was very familiar with all the activities, both of the speaker and and the political party. So I was just a subordinate. Yeah.
I
There was a seamless transition.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
nice. I also find it that you found yourself in the company of two Pangasinenses,
Yes, yes, that's right.
and you were from central,
Yes,
from central
that
Philippines.
is very unusual. That one of the things that I would like to emphasize that this president does not believe in regionalism, in the sense that you pack your cabinet with either Ilocanos or Mindanaoans and so on. It was based on his own insight and qualifications, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. Wasn't exactly a
So,
parochial,
it was
It's
really
very-
unusual to see a Visayan
Right,
with the Pangasinan people. Yeah.
And the cabinet, in fact, was
And the
very,
cabinet,
right?
and
Diba?
there was a time when nearly half of the cabinet were from the south. So there was not an Ilocano complexion in the cabinet, which is really unique.
So it was Filipino.
Yes.
It wasn't, it
But
wasn't
so again,
regional.
that's another virtue. I think there's another virtue that there was no attempt to be, regional or kababayan,
Yes.
that sort of mentality. Because, for example, the first or second agriculture secretary was yanked out from Indonesia.
Oh, right.
Because I'm sure he heard something that he was he was doing a good job in Indonesia. Yeah, they put him in the cabinet, and he was a Visayan.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty long search. Huh? I
Yes,
mean, looked
yeah,
far and wide,
yes,
and
yes.
eventually,
And then, of course, something like Jun Siason was also a very senior United Nations officer.
yes.
Was already deputy director general.
Yeah, at the
He was also yanked out and then made the foreign secretary.
What do you think? What brought them back? I mean, quite a number of
Well,
secretaries actually
Let's
were
put it this
working
way, not only is he persuasive, but he is also, he inspires. He inspires, if you're already earning so much as the United Nations,
right.
for example, or you're earning a lot in Indonesia, why would you not come home?
Right.
You see? And there were many things, people like that.
Sure.
I think it's really more for nationalism, maybe for patriotism, but you have to give it to him. How he was able to persuade them to join him from outside rather than pick up from local,
Yeah.
like we know of today.
He had a certain charisma, no?
Yes,
Magnetism.
he had
inspired
the-
people to work for them.
He had
for
he's
him.
not
yeah?
bombastic,
Okay.
so but he is persuasive, and he's not flippant, and things like that. Very, as I said, a very, very gratifying experience, and he's a all-around complete president.
Okay. Okay, tell me about the gratifying experience. I mean, Secretary, it was 24/7 working for him.
Yes,
How,
yes.
how can that be gratifying? It was a pretty grueling schedule, if I
Well,
remember.
yeah, it is. For many months, many months. I had no weekend in that sense, no, because
Yeah.
and I would knock off at about 9 o'clock also, with about the same time he goes home, and during the day I'm sitting in front of him,
Right.
while he's finalizing his speeches. He's watching TV at the same time. He's talking to me at the same time.
Right. Right.
All around. So that, but well, first because I was much younger, I did not feel the fatigue. This was and I enjoyed traveling and jumping off helicopters with him, except that everywhere we go, it was like a blur. So you don't really know where you are,
Yeah.
and you don't remember. Was it Toronto? Was it Paris? And so on. He was all business. The president was all business, especially when he's abroad. He hardly goes shopping.
It was a very diverse group.
Yes.
Very collegial
Unlike,
as well.
from what I've heard, unlike during the time of Cory, and even during Arroyo's time, there were no shouting matches among the cabinet secretaries. When there are two cabinet secretaries cannot agree or is arguing, he would call them and says, "Go to that room and come back with a win-win solution."
Oh.
Yeah. Instead of you shouting at each other during the cabinet, he would tell them, "You go and go to another room and come back with a win-win." That's what he always said, win-win solution.
You want to have some? Yeah, to have some water, sir.
No.
You okay?
Anyhow, so that's one thing that I think that there was no raucous or shouting in the cabinet. Well, they argued. They argued, but they never shouted at each other. So subdued.
Well, anyway, so
But there was free discussion.
free discussion.
Yes.
Collegial,
Yes, collegiate. Yeah.
academic.
So at the end of the board meeting, everything was in harmony.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So if there are people who have disagreements, he gets them to stand up from the meeting,
Yes.
go to that room, settle the difference, come back with a
With a
win-win.
win-win solution.
And while you're settling it, we're going ahead with
Yes.
our other
Correct. That's the style.
tasking din, ano?
Huh?
Mahusay na
Oh,
mag-task.
yeah.
Oo.
And he himself knows already the answer.
Okay.
So and he listens. He listens. That's the most important. He listens, and and if he agrees with you, if his thinking is the same as yours, he will go ahead.
He has your back.
Yeah, and unlike some other person, that they will listen, but they don't know, they will not follow.
And they'll just go ahead with whatever it is they want.
See,
Okay.
that's why it's a very. I think he's the best president.
What were the instructions, sir, when, he told you, take over from Jess season, and, you're in
No, I
charge
guess
of...
it was very voluntary on my part. For example, as style, style. I don't stand behind him I stand in front of him. I stand with the cameras.
Okay.
So I know exactly his body language, what he's talking about, whether the cameras are kind or unkind. So I faced him. That's why there are very few photos of me with him, because I don't go beside him or behind him, but in front of him. So that's one. Secondly, I made it a point to give up drinking,
Oh.
so I don't suffer from any hangover while I was press secretary.
Okay.
And then
So you had to go
third,
sober.
yeah, I had to, I made sure that I went to the office sober every day.
Okay.
And then the third is that I had to anticipate. He knows all the answers.
Right. Right.
See, I don't have to tell him the answers. I just have to anticipate what is controversial and what is not controversial, or what is current and what is already passé. And then the other one is that I ferret out ahead the nasty press people. You see. So I knew already who are the, those who are grandstanding, those who want to say nasty about him. That was my job, that I anticipate. And then I also went on PR. This is something very important as a press secretary. You have to go out and reach out. People will not come to you. You have to go out and reach out. Well, as I said, the Malacanang Press Corps people, I pamper them, and then I go out and I'm a columnist and so on.
Yeah.
Newspaperman,
Right.
so on. So just I don't ask any favors. I just say hello to you, and it's up to you whether you will write something or not. See, I don't tell you what to write at all. That's one.
But
And
generally, they would, well, at least from where I was standing, columnists, for example,
yeah,
would read it as a statement from the president himself if
Yes,
it came
yes,
from
exactly.
you, right?
so that I said that he knows all the answers better than me. So he knows what to say, but it's the anticipation, because he gets pissed when you have a nasty reporter asking a nasty question, and if I fail to anticipate that, I'm in trouble.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
in that sense. And then when we are on our state visits abroad, I go out with them.
Yeah. What was FVR's view of media's role? I mean, positive, negative. It's a tool.
The media people change very little.
All right.
They change very little, and they all want to be recognized.
All right.
They want to feel important. Now, what they will write depends on what they think of you. Are you nice to them? Are you don't see them? Of course. So, do you help them? That's the most important. But what you want to write about is your own.
Ah, okay.
See, but if you like Ramos, you like Villanueva, then you're kinder. But we don't tell you what to write.
Yeah.
So
But you were, no. But let me just try to summarize that. You were open,
Open.
no? You were accessible.
We were transparent.
Yeah, there you are.
We're transparent.
Mhm.
I don't think he has any secrets except national security.
Yeah.
I think he was very open. And what was unique about him was the carnation milk boxes full of documents in his car, and his work was working while driving.
He's
Yeah,
moving from
yes.
one point to another, no? You mentioned it already. Nasty news, negative news coverage. How did he take to that? I mean,
I go to them.
yeah.
I go to them.
Did FVR specifically instruct you to,
No.
engage these people or?
No,
Yeah.
no. But at times he said, he will tell you, you go and see Henry Lopez. You go and see Gokong Wei. You know. Then I will do it, you see. And I go to the inquiry, even if I'm not invited. So just to be with them. You have to go to the Lion's Den. But we go out. We go out. That's one thing.
The way he expected you to engage.
Yes.
That's something,
Every time in the Manila Times, for example, became nasty. Rather than telling them what to write, well, I would go to the old man, Gokong Wei, and he would say, "Hey ho, why don't you buy my paper? Why don't you buy our paper?" Instead of saying, But at least he saw me, and that was good enough.
The meeting, the engagement itself
Yes,
is the end.
It doesn't solve the problem, but it will soften the problem.
Right.
When you go and see these big people. The same with Henry Lopez. You cannot tell Henry Lopez what to do. But he likes you. He will not tell you, he will not also order his people to do this and do that. But,
Right.
it's you get good points. And I represent the president. I don't represent myself. You see? So,
Which is about similar to how FVR started out. It was a plurality, di ba?
and
eventually,
he himself does that.
Yeah.
He himself does it. I mean, he will go and say hello to these people. He's very sociable, very amiable. It's very important for a president. Not artificial. He's a really sociable person.
But you know what? Something that I also noticed, Secretary, is that the sheer amount of stories that we had to write during those days.
Yes.
Even if we wanted to, even if there was an attempt to write a negative story,
Yes.
it would just get overwhelmed by 7, 8,
Yes.
9 other stories.
That's correct.
He kept all of us busy writing good news.
Yes. That's right. Yes, that's one thing. Every day, at least 6 to 12 stories
Yeah.
from the more important headlines to trivial. So it's very good. So we're quite busy. Every day we had to turn out about a dozen stories.
So much content.
And we're very productive. I think it's very productive.
But that was also the result of a very
But,
active and very engaged presidency.
We're not in the culture of denying and lying. I don't believe that we ever lied. Of course, sometimes we refuse, we refute, and we disagree. But I doubt very much if we tell a lie or deny. So in that sense, we were very transparent and very truthful.
Yeah, you replied
except
with
national
what-
security.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You replied with
Yeah.
you replied as required. As
Yes,
required of you.
yes, yes. And,
So that was still being
and then
open,
there were
accessible,
we
and
were the daily press releases. So if you're looking for news, it's all there.
it's all there.
Just select which one you want to print.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, right. Um, Tell me your appreciation or your estimate of FVR's relationship with the MPC,
With the?
Malacanang Press Corps.
Very good, very good, and I think they truly liked him. As I said, there was one or two smart ass. So let's put it that way. And I think I have to give credit to my staff, especially Ching Suba. She took care of the Malacanang Press Corps for me. And, well, our relationship with Malacanang Press Corps was nearly excellent. You have a few people who will tickle you, and you know, but most of the time,
Yeah,
I think we had a good press.
yeah, the good.
We had good press, and not to my credit, but to his credit. Yeah,
Why so?
because he himself enjoys facing them.
Yeah,
You know, every week we have a press
Right,
conference.
right, right.
He's the one doing the only talking,
Right,
not me.
right,
You see.
right.
So so you have first eyewitness. So you see the news from the horse's mouth.
Right, right.
That's it. So what else can you do?
So ganun pa rin yung ano, the rules of engagement.
Yes.
Stay open.
Which no president does. Yes, you have once or twice they would give a press conference because the issue is already ballooned,
Right.
you know, to a critical level. Then they give a press conference and so on. In his case, it was weekly.
Right.
So there was no chance for an issue to become
Stale.
fister, to become, you know,
All right, to fester.
deteriorate, you see. So because he himself is there. If the controversy is about corruption, the following press week, that becomes the issue. If it's about China, that becomes the issue. So there's no need to speculate because it will be taken up at the following press conference with him presiding. You see, so,
Straight from the
Oh,
di ba? From,
yes.
from the
So we had a relatively peaceful, peaceful relationship. Of course, there are kinks. Of course,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
are
Some
always
snags.
disgruntled
Yeah.
members, you know, especially from the tabloids. Sometimes they feel outcast,
Left
they feel
out.
ignored. You know. But this is a part of the course.
Yeah, yeah. You know, once in a while, you find yourself
Yes.
left out
Yes.
of the pack. Ano?
Yeah.
But eventually, I think it was also pretty fairly inclusive. No? The way FBR
Yeah.
treated, especially with the
Well,
ano,
the
with
most
with
important is
press
that
corps.
he himself is the major party. He himself is the principal. I think that's very important for a president.
He didn't isolate himself.
Yeah,
ano?
yeah, he does not isolate himself, and he loves. He loves to communicate.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very
Standing
important for a
toe-to-toe
president.
with ano, no?
Very important. So there's no room for miscommunication, for disinformation. Yeah.
Sir, tell me about the relationship naman with ano, you know, columnists, editors. These are, you know, top level of their agencies. influencers, diba?
Yeah.
Thought leaders.
Well,
Was it similar with the Malacanang press corps?
I'm not lifting my own bench, but as a press secretary, there are two things. First, you have to be close to the president. I mean, so that you know the body language, when he's angry, when he's pensive, and so on. And the other is, you got to have access to the lowest level tabloid reporter, to the senior,
Publishers,
yeah.
owners,
So
editors. Yeah.
you have to have access, and I think that is one of the things that maybe I'm not. I don't think I was a very good press secretary, but I had access, and I would do it, and because after all, I'm an economist, and come from the London School of Economics, so I'm not afraid to go and see Kokongwei or
Right.
Salvador Henny Lopez or Oscar Lopez. I would go to a senator and talk to him. I'll go to Max Levin when he was a very powerful columnist. All these senior and influential columnists, as well as senior reporters from the Manila Chronicle. So I went around. I mean, you have to go around. Not
You saw this as part of your
Yeah,
role
that is-
supporting
yes.
him, ano?
Not only not only to protect the president, but to promote the president.
Okay.
I don't go out to protect the president. Oh, he's not like this, he's not like that. That's denial. No, it's this is what we're doing, and this is his opinion. That's all. I said he himself knows the answer, so
Right.
I don't really have to work.
Right.
I just have to, but I don't go. No, that's not true. I deny that. No, nothing like that.
You didn't see your job as
Yeah.
being apologist.
No,
It was just really
I never.
to replicate
Yes.
what his message
And
was.
after a while, it was necessary that there should only be a press secretary and spokesperson at the same time, because you have another spokesperson, you have another press secretary, and you'll have a desynchronization.
Right. There's the
And-
risk of
Yes,
too many messages.
That's what happened to his first year as president. There was a woman spokesperson,
Yes.
and there was Rod Reyes,
Yeah.
and then the same with the Cory, and the same with Gloria. So you see,
Sir, you were also, as press secretary, you were also on top of government's information machinery, right?
yes.
So, PIA, the Bureau of Broadcast Services, PTV,
Yeah.
yeah, and then some other.
Yeah.
What, what was FBR's view on, on government having its own, in-house information machinery?
No, we encourage it. The PIA especially. And because I could not handle all the agencies,
Yeah.
I delegated.
Yes. Well, we had
So we had
director
undersecretary
generals, yeah.
for PIA and the secretary for radio, television, and they were very competent. They were very competent. So PTV4 at that time, PIA, and then we had the writing desk. It's very very efficient. You see, so we had no problem. And
What was their role?
well, not propaganda,
Okay.
but information.
Okay.
We did not exaggerate. Let's put it that way. We did not manufacture. We just straight news. And like the PIA, it was information and down to the local level.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very-
And the news was straight news. We didn't fake news. There was no fake news at that time.
Or you kept away from it.
Yes,
You didn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the direction? What was the guidance insofar as upgrading
Well, the legacy,
capability of
the
information?
legacy of this is not really my department, but the legacy of President Ramos was liberalization. What you enjoy now was his. He deregulated shipping, deregulated telecommunications, banking, airlines.
Retail trade.
This is his main legacy, the liberalization of the economy, especially telecommunications, banking, and shipping and airlines. So this will be the legacy of FVR.
What I meant was upgrading. I mean, the government's technology level, the information machinery itself.
Well,
Did he say, let's
at
move
that
from
time,
telex to...
you don't have the kind of sophistication that we have today. But at that time, he also had good stuff that concentrated on communication. But at the technological level at the time. So, and he's very much into the advancement
Right.
of telecommunication. Yes.
What about there? I'll have to ask you. What about? And I think you answered it already. I was going to ask about closure rules. I mean,
The what?
Was there instructions on how to write a story, what not to write, diba? What or
I don't have that kind of experience, but
okay.
I know that there were times when he would not be so happy, and he would call somebody
Okay.
and delegate it to somebody. So I was not alone. There are times when he would use General Ermita, for example. He would use Secretary Ruben Torres or Siason. So that would unburden me. You see, instead of everything concentrated on me,
Right.
he would disperse it like that. And effectively.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes they do the job for me, and I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh.
I realize my deficiency. Let's put it that way. I cannot be all around,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I accepted that. So when he delegates it to Ermita or delegates it to Ruben Torres, I don't get offended.
He'd bring in the appropriate
Yes.
people and
Yes, that's
resources.
right.
No. Okay.
And that's him. That is him. Yeah.
That's part of the management style.
Yes.
Ano?
Yeah. So he knows. He is. He will not. He will know your shortcomings, your inadequacy,
Right.
and he will do something about it.
Right. Would you say that he knew exactly, I mean, the people he had in his official family to the point that he knew fairly well how to manage them, direct, skills and resources
Yes.
to the
This put this way. Sometimes he's been accused of being a micromanager, but because of his experience, long experience, he knew exactly who to call at any one time.
Yeah.
And of course, on the top of that is General Monte.
Yeah.
So there was really very little disharmony, because he had fingers on the different people. He would not depend on just one person. And they would not depend on one person. That's why.
It was a
And
team,
I feel gratified in that sense that he knew I couldn't handle everything, you know. But I think, to my credit, he found out that I'm the only one who's, even on Sunday, I could be with him.
Yeah.
Because the other secretaries would not do it. That's probably why I was one of the longest press secretaries.
Yes.
I was the longest, maybe after Tata and after Bunyi or something. I was one of the longest. 3 years is a long. 3 years is a long time for shelf life.
It's a combat tour.
Shelf life of a press secretary.
Tour of duty.
3 years is very long.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's because I was I took a low profile all the time. I took profile, as I said, instead of being behind him, standing beside, I was standing in front of him. So I know exactly where the cameras coming from.
Observing,
Yeah.
Some of the biggest events that happened in the country during FVR's time happened during your tour of duty as well, no? APEC,
Yes.
the ASEAN Regional Forum.
Yes. And
So, I mean, what was it like putting the country's best foot forward?
he himself, he had international stature, and he had good people. He had good people. Good organization. We had a good organization. APEC, our foreign visits were very all successful, and very frugal, by the way. Our foreign visits are very frugal, nothing ostentatious. I said, this fellow doesn't even go shopping. Yeah. So.
And all business.
Yeah. So it was very frugal and very all business. It's all business. I think that this, all of this put together, you have a whole entire picture of harmony. I think, and peaceful. He had a peace accord with Noor Miswari.
All right, that was your turn, no?
Yeah. As far as the peace agreement was concerned, it was very good.
Yeah.
Implementation is something else.
Yes.
That's for following him.
Yeah.
Our epics were very successful. Nothing extravagant. And we held it in Baguio.
No. Manila and Subic.
In Subic. So I think they were very successful. And he had very good relations with the foreign leaders,
Right.
Mahathir,
Yeah.
Suharto, Lee Kuan Yew, and so on. Clinton, had very good relations, personal relationship with them.
So he wasn't
I
just,
think that was very good for the president and good for the Philippines, I think.
not just chief executive, but I think at about that time it was also him evolving into statesman, for the region. If you remember, he spoke as well at if you remember, at the Group of 77,
Yes.
the United Nations.
Yes, that's right. Then we had and he knew exactly how to handle, for example, the population issue, the non-aligned countries issue, So he navigated the Philippines very well. We had also crisis. We had the rice crisis, for example. we had the Contemplación crisis.
Right,
See?
95, yeah.
And he sacrificed his foreign secretary and labor secretary because of that, you know. But harmlessly. I mean, they were not fired like they are doing nowadays, but because it was untenable. So they took it. And no offense.
Yeah,
So we had our own crisis. We had our mini mutiny in Mindanao, for example. We had 2 attempts during Core's time.
But that never happened during his watch.
But nothing of this sort happened during his time, except for as I said, a mini mutiny in Mindanao. No.
But that I think it was also vintage FBR, no, that he would reach out.
Yes.
He
did.
He got
And,
into an agreement with the RAM, SFP,
Yes, that's right.
Gringo.
Sometimes he gets criticized for being, you do some push-ups or something, and so. But that shows you that you don't have to hang somebody for some misdemeanor, you know. And he has been criticized for that, but it came out very well.
Bringing everyone back to the
overall,
to
his
the
administration was peaceful. What is the most important? Peaceful, progressive, in the sense that the industries were liberalized, and for the first time, our per capita income went up. Broke the $1,000 barrier.
Yes.
That's something.
Secretary, tell me about, it was about this time as well that we were having problems with the Chinese.
With
The Chinese. No?
Yes.
The incursions in the, what is now the West Philippine Sea, the South China Sea. How, from your perspective and your function then as press secretary, did FBR manage that, or did you see him mobilizing? How did you see him mobilizing?
We at that time, China was not very concerned or active with our claims. Until they found out that there might be minerals and deposits underneath. But at that time, it was not controversial. It was not warlike in that sense. So we were able to manage China until his term ended. We had problems with China, but it was not that serious because China was not yet so active in South China Sea. That's the most important.
But he did manage to get ASEAN
yes
to make the Manila Declaration.
And also the most important is that he was very influential and very active in ASEAN, and he had good rapport, good camaraderie in ASEAN. People like Lee Kuan Yew, for example, Mahathir, Suharto, and so on, and the one in Thailand. He had good relations in ASEAN. Because, of course, his own father was the founder of ASEAN.
Yeah. Tell me about December 96, when he was brought to the Makati Medical for his emergency, right? Surgery. I mean, how did you take that? You're surprised?
Well,
you knew that it was coming?
we were in Malacanang at the time, and I was in my office, and they were in the other side. And there was, I think, a meeting or cocktail, and all of a sudden they complain about him fainting, and then
Oh.
and he was rushed to Makati Med and found out that he had carotid problem here,
Blockage or something. Yeah.
blockage, mostly because of let's say fatty issues and so on. So of course we mobilized all the cabinet secretaries, and we prepared for the worst. And thankfully we have good doctors, and it was not that serious. And it was he made it on time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But well, we had to prepare for succession.
Oh.
You know, these things you don't take for granted. So there was already work for succession.
So you had statement A and statement B.
Yeah, we just prepared for the worst.
Yeah.
Internally.
For both
Yeah, yeah.
eventualities.
And then, of course, I was there at the Makati Med most of the time.
Yeah.
And then, so I monitored progress, surgical progress was very good.
Yeah. We were scouting you.
But,
during the time.
it's scary. it's scary because, it was a president, you could come out.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about the personal, the personal impact on you? I mean, you were working for a man whom you just described.
Well, I never thought of it. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I was not worried about losing a job or something.
Yeah.
I was worried about his health.
Yeah, that's it.
But otherwise, not worried about change of administration or losing a job, because we're professionals. We don't hang on.
Yes.
So you look at the profession, including the cabinet. But I said we prepared for the worst. You have to have a succession.
Yeah.
And for me, I never thought of what will I do if I lose a job. No, nothing.
Or
Nothing of that sort.
well, what I meant maybe was the potential loss of a.
Oh, I was worried because I thought we had a good president. It would be the sayang for the country. No, I think I would like to emphasize that we really look at him any more holistic. As I said, he's not a one-dimensional person.
Yeah.
He's all around, and that became a great president. I still think he's the best president. Yeah.
You were at the GSIS for quite a long
20 years.
time, ano? Yeah, 20 years, and eventually you went back to public government service when you were drafted by Joe DeVie and you worked for FVR. I mean, how did you see FVR as a public servant?
As a public servant,
As
as
a public servant.
I said, well, it was a gratifying experience because of his background. You have to appreciate his background, and then I think he was really destined to be president. I think. Of course, we didn't think that way before, or he didn't. But I think looking back now, with his background, his abilities and so on, I think he was really destined to become president.
And he took it, ano? How did looking at the people under you at OPS and the different attached agencies as well, was that something they saw in FBR as well?
Oh yes, yes. I think everywhere you go, civil servants, he was admired. That's what to say. I think people really admired this fellow.
And, you know,
He was not he was not running for popularity, but he was approachable. What is important is approachable. That's why I said our sorties into the provinces. That's where you will find the best in him. How he was able to relate to an ordinary farmer, to an ordinary policeman, a mayor, and so on. That is where his strength was.
do you remember particular incidents, for example, that he would get out of his way and, you know,
No,
meet up with, you
no,
know, people are telling him, "Sir, let's go here already," but he would break away
No.
from
no, like that. And this is where I would come in because I would know a nasty person coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I would warn him already that there is an SOB on the prowl. So he would appreciate that, you know. But otherwise, well, of course, he has his own mind.
Yeah.
He has his own mind. If you make a mistake, you know, I had a cousin, Congressman Amante of Agusan, and he was one of the first executive secretaries.
Edelmiro?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. In the beginning, when I asked him why he resigned as executive secretary, he would jokingly said, "Because I was the cleanest cabinet secretary, executive secretary. Because araw-araw sinasabon ako." So it's not always like that. I mean, the president gets pissed, gets picked, no, he gets angry, gets frustrated. No, that's just any human being, but very seldom. And he does not berate you in public. That's one thing very important for a president. Unlike some people we know, he will, as I said, if you cannot agree, you go to the room and come back with a win-win solution. So, but he will not scold you
What
in
ticked
public.
him off, sir? What ticked him off? Incompetence, poor performance, tardiness.
Carelessness, I think. Carelessness. When the person is careless, he gets really annoyed. You know, he doesn't get annoyed when you make a mistake. You know, he will correct you. But if you are being sloppy,
Yeah.
that's why he had this, complete staff work. No, if you cannot do that, you're in trouble. That's why it's called complete staff work.
Right.
Then, if it becomes sloppy work,
Yeah.
then he gets very annoyed. That's the time he gets annoyed. But he will not scold you in front of the public. He will just tell you, lousy work. No.
And that was enough for you to
Yeah.
shape up. No?
So, as I said, I told you in the beginning, if you talk to me about FVR, it's all going to be all superlatives because I don't know what he does in the shower. I don't know what he does when he was a little boy. You know,
Was there anything which could have been done better, you think? Was there something lacking? Were there resources needed to accomplish that gap, if ever there
well,
was?
to me, 6 years is too short. We had an attempt to extend his term, but failed
Yeah, yeah,
because of Cory.
yeah. She stepped in.
Yeah. But it was not his desire. No.
Did he keep away from that?
Huh?
To your mind, did he keep away from that?
Yes.
That
Well, he
initiative.
stayed above. He couldn't care less whether it's extended or not. Whether I don't think he really had that big desire.
Talaga.
But we wanted him to stay, because we felt that he was doing very well. But 6 years is 6 years. It's too short.
He deserved
Yeah.
maybe another shot.
Yeah.
Or
So
an additional term.
yeah, and then communications. I think we didn't have enough at that time. Communication was slow. But otherwise, well, we didn't have enough investments.
Have the first impressions changed, or have they been enhanced?
No, enhanced.
In
No,
what
my
way?
impression was never. When I first met him there, I was already impressed. I thought he was a very steady person, amiable, and very, very cool. And then when he was president, when we had the crisis, contemplation crisis, rice crisis, he would calm down everybody. When everybody's excited, except him. He said, relax, we'll solve this problem. Yeah. So he remained. My impression was he was cool and amiable ever since. That's it.
Oh, and you'd meet with him ever so often, ano?
Yes.
Post, ano?
Yes.
But what happened after '98, sir? You left government service also?
Yes. We
After-
parted very well.
Oh.
Iraq came in.
Mm-hmm.
I, together with Sunny, Sunny, we founded a newspaper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I stayed there for about 2 years until Arap left, and then Gloria came in. So then I rejoined the government.
You went back, ano?
Yeah, first as a member, and then chairman of post office,
Oh,
and then eventually postmaster general.
yeah.
That was my last job.
Yeah, because it was privatized, ano?
Yeah, no, it was not privatized. It was Benigno Aquino came in.
Oh,
So I was really forced to retire up to now.
oh, okay. But in the meantime, you've been meeting with FVR.
Yes.
How are those interactions like?
Well, he
You do some-
he discuss issues all the time. Up to now, he loves to discuss issues.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think he likes my column.
Yeah, which you're still,
Yeah.
you're still writing. Ano?
Yes.
He's still very much into the thick of things. You know, he still has
Yes.
has a good sense of the pulse.
Yes. I still write for the Manila Bulletin.
No, I mean FBR. Well,
Oh yes. Well, he has access to information that you and I do not have. So he's very knowledgeable. You name it, he is knowledgeable.
to this day.
Yes, because of his directorship abroad or something.
Okay.
So,
What's your best FVR moment? What's your best FVR moment?
what?
What's your best
FVR.
moment? I mean, that you had with him,
Personal or professional?
whichever, your choice.
As I said, professional, when he elected me out of the blue, to become press secretary. I thought it was I was honored and privileged. But there were so many more capable candidates. No? Personal was when my brother-in-law was terminally ill.
Okay.
So I went to him to say, Mr. President, can I go on leave for about 1 week? I want to go to London to visit my terminally ill brother and son-in-law. He is Englishman. And he said, okay. And then he was about the same time going to the UK for a state visit. So I said, okay, thank you very much. So when my way out of the office in Malacanang going down, one of the aides said, Mr. Secretary, you wait for 5 minutes. So he went inside and came back with an envelope. With some dollars into it. This is for you. So, without anybody, without my asking, without anything, just thought about it. To me, that was shows the kind of person he is. Yeah, that's personal.
Looking back at FVR 6 years as chief executive, in your capacity as party spokesperson and then eventually as press secretary, what to you is FBR's legacy?
Well, what I told you before,
Okay.
he liberalized the economy. That will live forever. That is his main. Never mind about the others. What he did, bridges, highways, and so on, harbors. That becomes minor. What is important is that he liberalized telecommunications, realty,
The economy.
banking, shipping, airlines. That will live forever.
That opened us up
That
to
will,
be
yeah,
competitive.
that can never be equaled. That's why our cell phone, we would not be enjoying it now without him. That alone is enough.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.